I've learned a lot and I've grown over the years. I remember as a kid being challenged by some friends to climb to a very high place. At first, everything was fine. I was only thinking about the challenge of getting to the top. Then, when I got up there and I looked down, the fear that I felt in that moment was truly overwhelming. And it wasn't until later that I learned about sea sickness that I realized that the fear that I felt may just be my body trying to balance based on the faraway place that I can see, that being the ground, rather than the very small platform I was actually standing on that caused that reaction, which led me to the thought about misconceptions and the way that you perceive the world and how that can affect the way that you react to things, rather emotionally or physiologically. A Chinese friend of mine, I say Chinese, but I can't quite remember the name of the country he came from. It either started with an N or a G, and one of those letters was silent, but it did begin with both. He said to me that when he was a child, he believed that Korean people were blind because their eyes were so dark that he couldn't fathom that they can actually see through their pupils, which led me to thinking about facial blindness and the fact that people of different races find it very hard to tell people of other races apart from each other. I myself had the same problem when it came to Japanese people until I lived in Japan for 2 years, and then it became obvious the difference in their faces, and I couldn't tell them apart, even though other people couldn't. And I just found that change rather fascinating. What I learned from this experience is that when things are new, our brains have a tendency to ignore the differences. But when things get old, when you're used to them, then we tend to ignore the similarities. What I want everyone to take away from this is that unconscious bias may not be a thing. What you call unconscious bias, subconscious bias, or prejudice may just be the results of the imperfection of the human brain.